Another thing, weird ways of saying things. Now this isn't really a grammatical aspect. It's common for all languages. Every single language will have different ways of having verbs relating to ideas and things. So you'll find it with any language. Just something I've noticed about Icelandic is that it helps to imagine speaking English in a very archaic, old style. Take the example, if I walked into a coffee shop and there's and I wanted to say, I would like a coffee, please. In Icelandic, you would say, ég ætla að fá kaffi, which actually literally means, I intend to obtain a coffee. If you imagine walking into a 1800s coffee shop and going up to the clerk and saying, "Good day, sir. I intend to obtain a coffee for my wife." In Icelandic, this translates quite literally. Góðan daginn, ég ætla að fá kaffi fyrir konuna mína. It's very similar to an old style of speaking. Colloquial Icelandic has a different example. For the phrase "you should wash up," there's no real kind of, you don't really use should in Icelandic. You could use several verbs, but one of them is the verb að eiga, which really means to have as well. So if you use it in the phrase "þú átt að þú upp," which means which literally means you should to wash up, it actually sounds a lot like "þú átt að þú upp." You wouldn't really, most English speakers nowadays wouldn't use the phrase "you ought to wash up" anymore. It's again quite an archaic way of speaking, but it sounds very similar to the Icelandic, and in many ways translates very similarly. Impersonal constructions and indefinite subjects, you find these in English as well. For example, in the phrase, if you say "it's raining," it's not at the moment, it's sunny. It's sunny. There's no real subject. It is just indefinite subject. It's not really there for any purpose other than to give the sentence some kind of grip, basically. I'm quite rusty with these, so I won't give any of my own examples. But an example I found is very common is "mér er kalt," which means I am cold, or literally, to me it is cold. Essentially it's where there's no real subject. If you were to say you like something, if I was to say I like this book, you might imagine, if you knew some Icelandic, you might imagine it to say, it to be ég líka þessa bók, which does translate literally, and it's quite logical. However, in Icelandic you wouldn't say that. You would say, to me this book is liked, or mér, to me, líkar, which is like the third person singular of to like, and þessi bók, which is nominative form of this book. Note, before you start panicking about this, is that it only happens with some verbs, and these verbs are very specific. They don't really have examples. There are very few verbs, I think, that have examples of impersonal and personal constructions, as in where you would use it indirectly or directly. Every time you look up a verb, you really should remember which case it governs. If it might govern something unusual, say dative, genitive, even nominative sometimes. If it's an impersonal verb, exactly the same. Just remember it. There's really no difference. You just have to remember to apply that to when you're coming up with a sentence. Indefinite subjects are another thing. It rains in Icelandic is það rignir. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that G right, but it's this type of thing is used a lot with weather or climate. Example found in Einarsson's book is daginn lengir, which literally means like something lengthens the days, but they don't say what it is. It really means days get longer. In fact, daginn here is in the in the singular. It's just a little irregularity there. But if you imagine it as eitthvað lengir daginn, which means something lengthens the day, then just switch daginn and lengir around to make daginn lengir, and remove the eitthvað, because you don't need that because it's not a subject. Then you've got the sentence there. Daginn lengir. The days are getting longer. For both these and for the passive voice, Colloquial Icelandic, it has a few examples and it explains it moderately well. Although I think something that's common with colloquial is their grammar explanations aren't particularly good. Although everything else is really useful. So if you don't entirely understand that, and you're not too overwhelmed by pages and pages and pages of just text, then go to Einarsson's Icelandic grammar is absolutely excellent. Page 167 to 171, I think it has. So it's like 4 or 5 pages of just examples of the impersonal constructions when they're used, different types, lots and lots and lots of examples. The examples may seem quite old, quite biblical at times, but you can apply that to any situation you want. The final thing, vocabulary. At the beginning of the video, I said the cases are very clear in my head now, and I hadn't learnt much vocabulary before now. I'm trying to learn more vocabulary now, and I'm putting together like an Excel file which I may translate into Anki someday, and put that on public download or whatever. The reason I'm doing this now, as opposed to before, is because before I wanted to learn about all these different constructions, these different the case use, verb, past tense, etc., etc., etc. So that I could use any word that came to me, and any word that I looked up without really thinking that much. With Icelandic, but not with other languages, not with all languages. I wouldn't say this is general good advice. But with Icelandic particularly, if you're not used to cases at all, if you're not used to impersonal constructions, if you're used to saying that you like things, then I would suggest that you do get to grips with the grammar first. I would not suggest that, say, if you're learning French as an English speaker or something, that you'd want to do the same thing, because with French generally, if you see a word and you don't really know that much about their grammar, then you can use the word. With Icelandic, it's not that simple. You would use it incorrectly most of the time. As I say, I know probably that is contrary to others' views, but I'm just saying that this is specific for Icelandic, and I would not advise that for some other languages. Well, thank you for watching. I hope this helped if you're learning Icelandic as a beginner, or if you're planning to learn in the future, and you want to know what kind of things you'll encounter and how to overcome them. Links to all the aforementioned resources are down below in the box. And yes, thank you.